I woke up gasping, the cold rush of water replaced by air, but the suffocating weight in my chest remained. The memory of that day clung to me like a second skin. The day I drowned, the day my husband leapt into the water but saved her. His first love. When I opened my eyes again, I wasn't in a hospital bed or some afterlife. I was in my old bedroom. My childhood bedroom. The familiar scent of freshly baked bread wafted through the house, and outside the sound of birds chirping filled the morning air. I was back in time. Not just a day or two, but years before I ever became his girlfriend, before I ever married him. Reborn. At first, I thought it was a miracle. A second chance to live a life free of him and that betrayal. I focused on simple joys. Laughing with my family, savoring every meal, and spending time with my cat Luna. I avoided him at all costs. No more entanglements. No more heartbreak. One day, I was examining a basket of fresh tomatoes, focusing on their bright red color, when a familiar voice broke my concentration. "Are those ripe enough for you?" I froze, gripping the tomato tighter than necessary. Fully I turned. There he was, my former husband, standing just a few feet away holding a bunch of carrots. His smile was tentative, as if testing the waters. "Lucas," I said, keeping my tone neutral. "What are you doing here?" "Same as you, I guess." He shrugged. "Shopping for dinner." I nodded, trying to end the conversation, but he didn't move. "Do you still like tomato soup?" he asked, his eyes softening with something close to nostalgia. "Why does it matter?" I replied curtly, placing the tomato back and moving toward another stall. His footsteps followed. "Because I was going to suggest adding basil. It used to be your favorite." I stopped abruptly, whirling to face him. "That was a long time ago. Things change." He looked taken aback, but his expression quickly settled into one of quiet determination. "Maybe. But some things don't." I didn't respond. I turned away and left without another word, my heart pounding. A week later, I sat on a bench, watching Luna bat lazily at a butterfly while I sipped my coffee. The park was my sanctuary, a place where I could breathe and be alone. Or so I thought. "Is that Luna?" I nearly spilled my coffee. Turning, I saw Lucas standing there, hands in his pockets, looking down at my cat with a soft smile. "What are you doing here?" I demanded, my tone sharper than intended. He raised an eyebrow. "It's a public park, Mia." "Right. Of course." I looked away, trying to calm my racing heart. "She's grown a lot," he said, nodding toward Luna. "I remember when you first got her. She was tiny. Why do you keep showing up?" I blurted out, unable to hide my frustration any longer. He hesitated, then took a seat on the opposite end of the bench. "I'm not following you if that's what you're thinking. Maybe we're just meant to cross paths." I scoffed. "I don't believe in fate." "Maybe you used to," he murmured. I stood abruptly, scooping up Luna. "I need to go." He didn't stop me, but I could feel his eyes on me as I walked away. Only another week passed after we met at the park. Outside my apartment, I fumbled with my keys, trying to balance a bag of groceries while keeping Luna's carrier steady. Just as I was about to drop everything, a hand reached out and steadied the bag. "Need help?" I didn't have to look to know who it was. I sighed. "Lucas." "Seriously?" He smiled, holding onto the bag. "You look like you're struggling." "Thought I'd help." "I don't need your help." I finally got the key in the lock and pushed the door open. Why are you even here? I was thinking to leave these outside your apartment and to leave. I saw a bag of stuff right outside my apartment. You're mad at me, he said softly. I paused halfway through the doorway. You think? I don't know what I did to make you hate me, but I'll figure it out. I clenched my jaw, resisting the urge to tell him everything. Instead, I stepped inside and shut the door without another word. But through the peephole, I watched as he stood there for a few moments before finally walking away. I then opened the door and picked up the bag that he left for me. It's a bag of flashlights and candles. He always knows that I'm afraid of dark. But how did he know that there will be a power outage next week? Each encounter left me more confused, more frustrated. Fate or not, he was everywhere, and my resolve to stay away was weakening. I didn't expect to see Lucas there. It was just a small gathering, and I had only come for the free food and light-hearted atmosphere. Yet there he was, standing near the drinks table, his expression tense as Emily, his first love, chatted animatedly beside him. If I recall correctly, this is the year when Emily came back from abroad. She left Lucas to go abroad about 4 years ago. Lucas, come dance with me. Emily grabbed his arm, pulling him toward the dance floor. He resisted, forcing a smile. You know I'm not much of a dancer. She pouted. You used to be. That was a long time ago, he said, his tone sharper than necessary. I watched from a distance, pretending to engage in conversation with a friend but unable to tear my eyes away from them. Emily's expression fell, but she recovered quickly, laughing it off. Fine, but you owe me a drink later. She kissed him on the cheek and walked off, leaving him standing there, his jaw clenched. Trouble in paradise? I couldn't stop the words from slipping out as I passed him on my way to the drinks. He turned, startled. Mia. I shrugged, pouring myself a soda. You don't look like you're having fun. His eyes darkened. It's complicated. Doesn't look that complicated, I replied, nodding toward Emily. She's not who I... He trailed off, rubbing the back of his neck. Forget it. Not who you what? I pressed, raising an eyebrow. He looked at me for a long moment, his eyes searching mine. Then, without another word, he walked away, leaving me more confused than ever. One evening, after a long day, I found Luna darting toward a busy street. My heart froze. Today is the day that Luna got into a car accident. Suddenly he was there, scooping her up just before a car sped by. I ran to him, my heart racing. You knew she was going to run into the street, I whispered. He looked at me, something flickering in his eyes. I couldn't let you lose her. My breath hitched. How did you know? He hesitated but then sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. I've been through this before. I stepped back, my mind spinning. You were reborn. He nodded, his gaze steady. I know you may think this is crazy, but we were married and we loved each other for years until I lost you. I prayed to God, please bring you back to me, then I was reborn. I was so happy to see you again. But you were so distant, so cold. I thought maybe I'd done something wrong. But I couldn't stay away. I needed to make sure you were safe. Safe? My voice broke. You saved her that day, not me. Why? His eyes widened with sudden understanding. You were reborn too? After a long pause, he continued, everything makes sense to me now. You think I chose her over you? He shook his head slowly, then smiled, a bittersweet curve of his lips. It wasn't like that. I saw the scarf, the one you always wore. He had it that day. I thought she was you. The world tilted. I remembered now. That morning she had admired my scarf. Grateful for something she did for my family, I let her borrow it. Tears blurred my vision. You didn't. He stepped closer, cupping my face. I've always loved you. My heart cracked open, the pain of that day easing with his words. Why didn't you tell me sooner? Would you have believed me? I leaned into him, feeling the warmth of his arms around me. In this new chance at life, we had both carried our burdens of regret and pain. Now it was time to let them go. Promise me one thing, I whispered. Anything. Let's live this life together without secrets. He smiled, pressing his forehead to mine. I promise. Fate had given us another chance, and this time we'd get it right.